Two ancient stories, different cultures, different gods, same alleged crime. In one story, a rebel steals fire for humanity. In the other, humans take a bite of knowledge. And in both, the punishment isn't small. It isn't a warning label. It's a lifetime sentence, sometimes written like an eternal one. So we're not here to tell you what to believe. We're a think tank channel. We show patterns. You decide what they mean. We spark conversation by putting two mirrors face to face and letting the reflections get uncomfortable. Tonight, we're talking about Prometheus and we're talking about Eden. In Greek mythology, Prometheus is a titan, not an Olympian. He's not part of the ruling family. He's an outsider looking in. Humans in these stories are down here in the cold, weak, vulnerable, basically unfinished. Prometheus looks at that and decides humans shouldn't stay that way. So he steals fire from the gods and gives it to humanity. But fire isn't just heat. Fire is technology. Fire is cooking. Fire is protection. Fire is metalworking. Fire is civilization. Fire is the difference between being prey and becoming a problem. Zeus, the king of the gods, doesn't respond with a conversation. He responds like a regime. Prometheus is chained to a rock and an eagle eats his liver every day. His liver regenerates so it can be eaten again, over and over. A punishment designed not just to hurt, but to repeat. A loop, a lesson carved into flesh. Now switch cultures. In Genesis, humans are placed in a garden with boundaries. There's a tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And the command is simple, don't eat from it. Then the serpent shows up and says something that has echoed through history in different costumes. You're not going to die. You're going to wake up. Your eyes will open. You'll be like God, knowing good and evil. So they eat. And again, the consequence isn't small. It's exile. It's pain. It's survival. It's separation. It's the beginning of a life that feels like a long walk away from something you can't fully remember. Two stories, same structure. Humans are limited. Something offers an upgrade. The ruling power says the upgrade is forbidden. Someone reaches for it anyway, and punishment follows. So the question tonight isn't which one is true. Not yet. The darker question is, why is human advancement treated like a threat? Because here's the fork in the road. There are two major ways people read this. One reading says the boundary is protective, like you don't let a toddler play with a loaded weapon. Not because you hate the toddler, but because the toddler doesn't understand what power does. In that reading, knowledge without maturity destroys you. So don't touch the tree isn't control, it's safety. That's one interpretation. The other reading says the boundary is control. In that reading, the gods don't fear humans being harmed. They fear humans being free, because the moment humans gain fire or moral autonomy or insight, they become less dependent. Harder to govern, harder to scare, harder to manage. And that's why in both stories the punishments are so extreme. Because the crime isn't disobedience, the crime is waking up. Now sit with this just for a minute. If a being is truly good, why would it need ignorance to keep its creation in line? And if a being is truly loving, why does curiosity trigger consequences that look like revenge? We're not saying God is evil. We're not doing that. We're saying in both traditions, the ruling power reacts to human knowledge, the way insecure power often reacts. Not with clarity, with punishment. And when punishment is severe enough, it doesn't just correct behavior. It teaches fear. It teaches people to stop reaching. So let's run a quick thought experiment. Imagine this like a courtroom. Not to win, not to prove a side, just to expose the logic. Here's the question for Zeus. Did humans having fire threaten your rule? Because you didn't just punish theft. You punished distribution. You punished a gift. And your punishment wasn't temporary. It was designed to be repeated forever. That looks less like justice and more like an example. A warning to anyone else who might try to elevate humans again. Now the Eden question. If the tree was dangerous, why put it within reach? Why design a world where a single act of curiosity becomes generational suffering? If knowledge is poison, why plant it in the center of the garden? And why is the serpent's offer framed as awakening, but treated as contamination? A defender might say, order must be maintained. Humans weren't ready. But then the next question is unavoidable. If humans weren't ready, why fear tactics? Why exile narratives? Why pain as instruction? Why not education? Why not guidance? Why not protection without terror? Because fear creates obedience, but fear does not create love. Here's the pattern, clean and simple. In both myth systems, humans reach towards something divine, and the ruling power responds with suffering. Sometimes people call that holiness, sometimes they call it justice, sometimes they call it the consequences of sin. But from a distance, the shape is familiar. Knowledge is treated like contraband, and the punishment is meant to teach everyone else to stop reaching. So we're not asking you to pick a side today. We're asking you to watch what the stories reveal about power. Do these gods want humans to grow, or do they want humans to stay small? Because if love is real, it shouldn't need ignorance to survive. Next episode, we follow this pattern into something even darker. When humans disappoint the gods, both cultures reach for the same solution. They don't correct humanity, they erase it. That's part 2, the flood reset.